Hello everyone, welcome back to Russell's Movie Reviews, the show where I review stuff from my collection that's mostly pretty good, or maybe, one of the best movies of all time. But then you get some movies that are just, just straight up garbage and should remain in the depths of hell. And, oh, I don't know what to make of this movie, honestly. I don't know whether to consider this a bad movie or a good movie. I'm not sure what to think about this movie. And obviously, continuing on with the Rambo franchise, um, we're going to be taking a look at the fourth installment that was released around 2008. And that is Rambo, also known as John Rambo in some international countries. This was released on January 24th, 2008, with a budget of $50 million. Domestically, it made $42 million, and worldwide, it made $112 million. Um, and this was actually directed by Sylvester Stallone himself. Um, oh, I don't know. I honestly don't know what to really make of this movie. Maybe I just need to, watch it again over time. Maybe, um, see my opinions have changed or not. But as of now, for my first time watching it, oh boy, this is a real mess. Um, anyway, let's talk about that plot. And I'm going to make this very clear right now. I don't know which version I watched for this review. I don't know if it's the extended cut or the regular theatrical cut. Um, I'm not exactly sure what I watched because I think the one I watched was about an hour and 30 minutes. So maybe follow me on Instagram and Facebook for to let me know if which one I watched for this review was either the theatrical cut or the extended cut. Because on the back of the 4K, it does not mention really how long each version is, since this comes with both the extended cut and the theatrical. Um. Oh, okay. No, it actually says it right here. Theatrical cut 91 minutes, extended cut 99 minutes. So yeah, I have to watch the theatrical cut for this review. I couldn't have imagined what the extended cut would have been. Probably little scenes of dialogue put back in, and you know, um, probably more bits of gore, which I will talk about more later. But now that I have officially confirmed that I did watch the theatrical cut for this review. Um, but anyways, let's get on to that plot. So, having long since abandoned his life as a lethal soldier, John Rambo, played by, of course, once again Sylvester Stallone, lives a solitary life near the Thai border. 2 weeks after guiding a missionary, Sarah, played by Julie Benz, and her comrades into Bermuda, he gets an urgent call for help. The missionaries have not returned, and although he is reluctant to embrace violence again, Rambo sets out to rescue the captives from the Bermuda's army. Oh boy. So, as you guys could probably tell, this film is kind of is set around the kind of war that was going on, kind of like how Rambo 3 was in the midst of the Cold War. This one is kind of the same thing, but this film, um, this one is a little bit different in that I don't even really know how to describe it, but it's basically, you know, I don't even know, like the army that lives there go and terrorize villages, and like the opening scene is literally just showing you newsreels and footage from the actual stuff that's been happening And I immediately realized that this is going to be a rough trip. Because immediately watching that was making me sick, and I realized I was putting myself in a bad place. And this was difficult to watch. It's very um it's kind of it's not even a mixed bag. It's literally, well, yeah, but it doesn't have mixed tones. It's very dark, very um is this very a very well, one, the mood is very dark. Like bad things are happening to these people and they just show it for no reason. I get the point that they're trying to make the point that they're bad guys, but for me I feel like they just emphasize it way too much. And for me, honestly, I think it doesn't. I mean, yeah, it works, but I think it works too much to the point where I'm just like, why? Like, why? I mean, yeah, they're bad guys. I get that, but there's points where you need to stop, and this is one of them. Like, this is a movie that the bad guys are too bad, and you just want to stop watching the movie because you feel like you're gonna get sick from it. This is one of those movies, but for you guys, I pressed forward and watched through the whole movie, and you know, like I don't even know really. It's just very dark. Like, um, I think in terms of violence in the movie, this has taken it to a whole new extreme. Like, yeah, like the other Rambo movies were like had blood in it, but it's not like to the point where it's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna need to stop. That's what this movie is. They just show you like, I think literally, as I mentioned the opening scene, but they also, I feel like the scene when, I guess spoiler, well, not really. When the missionaries arrive at the camp before it gets attacked, oh my god, even thinking about this is, okay. So when they arrive, Sarah's like walking around seeing, what they're doing, and she goes to, talk to Michael, and he's trying to treat a kid. I'm like, oh, okay, is he trying to fix up his knee? But then the camera kind of tilts down a bit, and you can see that his leg is amputated, or like not like a bloody stump, but his leg is gone. I'm like, ugh. I'm literally on the verge of throwing up. I literally had to pause the movie and take a few minutes just to calm down and be like, I can get through this. And I did. And it's it's a very, if I had to recommend this movie, don't watch it right after you eat, because you most likely will throw up. Don't watch this around dinner either, because again, you're going to throw up. This is bad. Like, this is a violent movie. Um, like these guys are just ruthless. Like the openings, like after the kind of the news stuff, it literally cuts to a scene where they take these prisoners that they have, throw like these mines so that if you step on it, you're dead. And really sorry about the yawning. But it's like basically like these mines that they throw in the water, and it's basically you can't see where they are because it's basically mud, not like mud water. So basically you can't see through it until it's like too late, because then you're gonna step on it and then you're dead. And I think one person, okay, yeah, one of them explodes from the mine. They all stop like, whoa, 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 okay, let's be careful, and then they just gun them down. And then I'm just like, okay, Stallone, I get where you're trying to go with this, but no, like you're taking this too far. Not saying as a bad director. I actually like a lot of the Rocky sequels that he did. Like especially like Rocky 2 and 3 and even 4, which is basically the batshit insane one out of all the Rocky movies. I still enjoy that one cuz it's still fun to watch. 5, yeah, it's the probably the worst one out of the bunch, but I still like the movie. I think he's a competent director. What? No, 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 because John Avildsen directed that one. Balboa. I think Rocky Balboa. I think he did great on that. I don't know if he directed the two Creed movies. I'm not sure, but from his work on the Rocky sequels, I think he's a very competent director. But this movie, it kind of takes it a little bit too far. That's showing these bad guys are bad guys. Like, it just kind of like for me, it's like comparing these like the main villain of this movie, which is basically just you know basically like the other ones, but he's like the basically the main one that says, hey, he's the bad guy. Um, but to me, it's like comparing him, the bad guy in this movie, to the bad guy in Rambo 3, because at least yeah, because they basically both are the exact same person, but at least he doesn't. Yeah, he kills a couple people, but he's not gonna go murdering, women and children. You know, this guy doesn't even care. If you stand in his way, you are dead. I mean, yeah, um, the guy in Rainbow 3, yeah, he injures kids, but he's not gonna kill them. This guy in this film, he doesn't care. He just wants to go and just you're gonna kill them all. No, no, no. It's actually he doesn't even like. His head just flip flops between whether I should kill him or not. Cause one scene he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna take all your children and they're soldiers now." And then immediately the next raid on another village, they just kill kids. It's like, what are your motives, guy? Like you gotta have a motive at least, you know. But no, he's just a bad guy who just a straight up douchebag who just kills everyone who comes in his way. That's not how you do a bad guy. You just you you write a bad guy, you make him a backstory and a motive, and you make him do kind of bad things so that the hero comes in and he kills him. Or he stops him. He stops the plan. There you go. You don't make him out to a straight up asshole. That's not what you do with villains like this. And I just think that this film takes it way too far with that. And I don't you believe I can't believe I haven't even talked about the cast yet. And I've already been talking about, the freaking my main problems with the villain. So might as well talk about, the cast in this movie because I need to calm down a bit. Um so we obviously have Sylvester Stallone returning as John Rambo. Um you know, I think in this movie, yeah, I get that he's not trying to um get back to the fighting again, but he like barely pops up in the movie. Like you make a movie called Rambo. You make him not only star in the movie, like with his name and but you also make him the director. And what do? You barely spend any time with him. You spend some time with him at the beginning, some parts around the middle, and then basically throughout the final act of the movie. And it's just, you have a movie called Rambo. I mean, yeah, have some scenes about some other characters, but it feels like in this movie they just sideline Rambo and want to talk about, Sarah and the missionaries or the mercenaries that are trying to save them. Rambo rarely pops up in the first like 2 acts of the movie until like near the second act, like near the end of the second act. It's just when he comes back and he saves basically them from uh, a truck of soldiers that pops up. Which, you know what? To be completely honest, I only have like two favorite scenes in the movie. That's probably my first favorite scene is when they're forcing them to go along. None of them hit the mines, and so the people get to the end. They're about to shoot him, and then all of a sudden, one guy like in the back, like he's about to shoot one of them, and also you just see an arrow go piercing through his chest, and all the mercenaries turn, and it's just Rambo with a bow. And I'm like, yes, and then he just basically just kills all of them, and then lets the people escape, and I'm like, okay, this is the Rambo I want to see, you know, but in this movie we barely get any of that. I think the kill count for this movie is I think higher than any other Rambo movie. I think it surpasses like 300 or 400 deaths in the whole movie, and it has to do with basically with the final action sequence in the whole movie, which I'll be talking about in a bit. Um, but yeah, they basically rescue all of them, and then it's so the mercen. Okay, might as well talk about the rest of the cast. Before I get on to favorite scenes, we have Julie Benz as Sarah. She's basically just not really the love interest for Rambo because it's just there. She didn't really bring anything to the story. She's just there. We have Matthew Madsen as Schoolboy, who's basically the only one that actually kind of respects Rambo in a way. Like, when they go back, when they get basically everyone, they realize like, hey, because they don't know his name. I don't think they know his name throughout the whole movie. Um, but they they have they were like, okay, where's the boatman? They refer to him as the boatman because he drives the boat over there for them. So he's like, where's the boatman? And he goes, we gotta go back for them. And he goes, like the main guy, which I believe is, well, actually I gotta look this stuff up again really quickly. All right, guys, I'm back. Um, so yeah, the schoolboy, which is what he's referred to in the credits, he's like the only one that actually kind of respects him in a way. Um, he goes back to help him, and then helps him, during the last battle of the movie. Um, we have Graham McTavish as Lewis, who's basically the leader of the mercenaries. At first, he's basically the dick. He's like, but then over the course of the movie, he actually becomes more likable. So when he steps on a mine and blows up, you're like, oh. I mean, yeah, he was kind of a douche, but like, help him. Like, I actually care about him a bit. Um, but, um, but yeah, and then he, helps a bit in the final battle of the movie. We have Tim Kang as Injo. Um, he is like one of like I believe the two Asians in the movie, or like not Asians, but like the foreign people, because most of them seem Swedish. Like two of them, the schoolboy and Lewis are Swedish. Enjo looks to be a little bit Asian, maybe Korean. Um, Along with Mint. Um, and then uh, I think Reese is also a little bit Swedish as well, and then Daz is a little bit Mexican. So it's basically jack of all trades. Which I like. I mean, I like that the fact that they actually try to have a couple people from different races to be a part of the mercenaries, and not just being one like like all Americans or something like that. I appreciate that. Um, but yeah, They kind of all just mixed together for me a bit. This is like okay. Um, I think which one was it? I think Enjo is the one that gets blown up by I believe a guy with a grenade. Um, and I'm like, oh, like why did he have to go? Like he was actually kind of cool, but um, that like that kind of I think. Well, sorry about this. I'm just trying to see if it is him. Yeah, I think it is. Sucks that like on a phone like you can't actually pull up like screenshots from the movie that like the characters that they play. Um, and then Tint is basically the villain of the movie, and yeah, he's like the biggest asshole of the whole movie. Um, and it's just like, well, I just want all of them to die, but especially you. Well, actually, no, he was like actually like, I don't think he really did anything except for like ordering, the attacks and stuff. But I just wanted all of them to die because they're just eh, like, they're all just straight up douchebags. Um, we have, and then finally we have what we also have Paul Schwartz, Schwartzy. I'm really sorry if I butchered that last name. Most likely I did. As Michael Brunart, who's basically the leader of the missionaries that go there. He was alright. Didn't really care for him that much. Um, and then we finally have Richard Crenna, who only appears in voiceovers. When he is having the flashbacks after we see the missionaries get captured, we see flashbacks to the older movies and scenes from earlier in the movie with Richard Crenna as like both Rambo's and Trauman's voices like going back and forth like from dialogue from previous movies and from this movie. And then I think my favorite shot in the whole movie is when his eyes open up and it's a shot from First Blood as like in the cave when he wakes up from the radio, and then you hear Trauman say like I think I think it's either just Rambo or John Rambo, but he says Trauman says his name, and then all of a sudden you hear a different voice say Rambo, and then it's older Rambo, and I'm like, oh my god, that shot was actually really nice. I think that's probably my favorite shot in the whole movie. Um, but yeah, so I already mentioned that um, I already mentioned my first favorite scene is the when Rambo helps the missionaries, which is actually the only picture on the back of the cover is when he's shooting the guys with his bow and arrow. Um, and then you know what? I'm just gonna say it. I think everyone's gonna agree with me on this. My second favorite scene is the the eventual attack at the final battle sequence where he just gets that big ass Gatling gun and just starts shooting everyone, and then like all the missionaries like join in to help, and then eventually like the rebels of the area come in to help them, and it's basically just one whole gang battle against the army, and they get destroyed. Like Rambo's shooting them with a Gatling gun, the schoolboys off to the side shooting them with a sniper rifle. The missionaries that were captured originally, they go and start killing them, taking their guns, start shooting them again. Unfortunately, we do lose Anjo at this point as well. He when one of the army men throws a grenade over and he blows up, but not before Lewis just lights that guy up. Um, yeah, I was like, oh, that was actually like the only one, like one of the only ones I actually cared about. Like one of the like he was a missionary, so he was kind of cool. Why did he have to die? Um, but yeah, that whole sequence was just like, yeah, just kill them all. Um, and yeah. Um, So yeah, I only had two favorite scenes in this movie because mostly this film's pretty boring and just makes me, not want to watch this movie again. I would rather watch, Rambo, First Blood, or um, you know, Rambo First Blood Part 2, even Rambo 3 over this movie. Um, and even Rambo Last Blood, which I only have seen once. Um, and I'm gonna see it again, for review purposes. Um, I think even that one's better than this movie. Um, but yeah. So fun. Well, yeah. So I want to really quickly talk about this extended cut that was released on, home media. I don't really get why some movies just get extended cuts out of nowhere. Um, you know, Gr- Rambo 4 is one of them, and I'm just like, like I said, I haven't seen the extended cut for this movie. I only saw the theatrical cut, and I really don't want to that much. Well, because one, I don't really like this movie that much, and two, I'm afraid that it's way too much gore in the extended cut, and I think even the theatrical cut has too much of it. So I think having an unrated cut of this movie is just um I don't think I'm gonna like it that much. And that's probably the only reason why I'm thinking that I'm not gonna like it, because it literally even says on the back here, like, there's the theatrical cut, it's rated R, the extended cut is unrated, so I'm gonna only assume that there's gonna be not too many shots, but there's gonna be more shots of like gore in this movie. And one, I could tell, like, comparing to, like I said, like comparing it to Rambo 3, for example. Rambo 3, this was in the late 1980s, so practical effects were still a lot for, were still in use for, action movies and stuff. So the blood squibs that you see are real, like not like actual real blood and stuff, but they're in camera blood squibs. This movie it is the first time I've actually seen um the majority of the blood effects be CGI. Um, compared to what they did in the 80s, where it was really just blood. Thankfully, with Rambo Last Blood, they did have a mixture of both CGI and actual practical effects for the blood stuff. Because really, I can only think of like a couple shots in this movie where it was actual like fake blood, like that was like in camera, because most of the shots in this movie where people are getting shot, it's mostly just CGI blood, and then you just have like the after, like the corpse, obviously real, or they just might have just added that it was CG later. But I just think that um you know I just think that it looks too fake. At least with Rambo Last Blood, did it in a nice mixture of both practical blood effects with CGI as well. I think this one, out of the two most recent Rambo movies, I think this one does a better job with the blood effects than Rambo. Um, but that's just my opinion. Um, so yeah. Um, but yeah. So yeah. Um, but so the fun fact I have about this movie is that, did you know that this is the first and so far only Rambo movie where we see Rambo actually working with a team rather than going solo? So yeah, all of the movies, First Blood, he's one man versus one Washington police force, and then eventually like the whole, like, an army. Rambo 2, it was him again, only him. I mean, yeah, he has Cho, but she gets killed off. So it was literally just him versus, you know, the Koreans and the Russians. Um, Rambo 3, Yeah, Troutman is there for like the last third of the film, but mostly it's just him doing the action. And then yeah, in the last scene, Trauma does help a bit along with the rebels, but it's mostly Rambo doing the hard work. And even in Rambo Last Blood, it's mostly him in the final action sequence. You know, him doing this. Like mostly him doing the action in the movie. Rambo, John Rambo is the only film in the whole franchise that actually has him working with a team to, you know, help save the missionaries. And I think that's a nice touch. I think that's one of the only good things about this movie is that they actually make it a little bit different than the other Rambo movies and actually have him working with a team. Um, so I think that's a very interesting and nice creative choice with this movie. And the score, obviously by this point, obviously, we don't have Rich Crenna in, you know, talking to old Rambo in this movie. But also we don't have the fantastic scores by Jerry Goldsmith. Um, accompanying the action. This film has Brian Taylor doing the music. Now, one thing I will say about this movie that this movie does a lot better than Rainbow Last Blood is the music. This movie actually calls upon the original Rambo theme twice from First Blood. It's at the beginning after the opening scene when we get introduced to Rambo with a nice mixture of both the Rambo theme and kind of tribal music. And then at the end when he's walking towards his old house in Arizona. Um, as far as I can remember, Rainbow Last Blood had nothing. It was just all original pieces, no callbacks to the originals. I don't even think, um, you know, the theme from Rambo 2 and 3 even pops up in this movie. This is, I believe, it's mostly just all original music. Um, but at least, the Brian Tyler, sorry, go hint, saying, "Hey, this is a Rambo movie," and calls back to the first film, saying, "Hey, this is the same character that we had for over 3 films now, and now this is the same guy, but just a little bit older." And I really do appreciate that. And I'll talk about more about the score later when I talk about Rambo Last Blood tomorrow. Um, but yeah. So, as you guys could probably tell by this review, I did not really like this movie that much, except for a few points. um, it's not a really shit movie like Jaws of Revenge or Star Trek Into Darkness, where both of those really had nothing going for them and were just straight up garbage. This film at least has some stuff to say. Hey, it's actually kind of worth rewatching. So it's worth going back to this movie and watching it again. Um, but I think honestly, if you go past 5 rewatchings over a span of 20 years, I don't think you should watch this film again. Um, in my personal opinion, it's so far the worst Rambo movie, and it probably will be the worst Rambo movie because I know I really like Rambo Last Blood, but I'll be talking about that tomorrow. More about Rambo Last Blood tomorrow. Um, but yeah, this is, in my personal opinion, the worst Rambo movie. Not saying this is a bad movie, but this is a significant stamp down from Rambo, the first 3 films. Luckily, like I did say, they did, they do bring it back with Rambo Last Blood. But yeah, I'm gonna give this film a 4 out of 10. This is a significant step down from Rambo 3 and Rambo First Blood Part 2, and obviously First Blood. Um, you know, I really don't think anyone should watch this, but if you're really, really curious and if you are a Rambo fan, then go ahead and watch it. But for a tip for a person who is trying to get into the action genre and maybe into Rambo, this is not the film to start off with. I would personally say if you want to start off with a Rambo movie, go and watch maybe the one of the first 3 films, and then watch like maybe watch the first three films, then go and watch this film, and then go and watch Rambo Last Blood. Um, but yeah, so um, so yeah, guys, that was my review of Rambo or John Rambo, which I don't think I really mentioned throughout this whole movie, except for a couple times right now. Um, but yeah, so that was my review of Rambo, also known as John Rambo. Stay tuned for tomorrow, where I'm going to be talking about the fifth and so far final Rambo movie, and will be the actual final Rambo movie. Um, and of course we're going to be talking about Rambo Last Blood, which did come out last year. So anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for tomorrow, where I'm going to be talking about, I think, if so far the best conclusion that we could have gotten with Rambo as a whole. So anyway, guys, stay tuned for tomorrow for the Rambo Last Blood review, and have a great day, everyone. Live long and prosper. Out.